Vance, right? And my question would be as follows for Greedy Vance, and Coach, I'm interested in hearing from you, interested in hearing from the other undefeated. If you want to come here and be a full-time starter, I love that. You do grant us experience. Are you going to be able to hold off the likes of Jalen Mbakwe from that slot corner position all season? A Jaleel Hurley? You get what I mean? Like, Alabama has got very talented guys, and Greedy Vance is talented, but is he going to be able to hold at bay all of these guys? Because he only started a handful of games for Florida State. He saw play in all of them, but he didn't start in all of them. Coach Shawn, what's your thoughts on Greedy Vance and Alabama?
First of all, good morning to you, Ty. Pleasure to see you, man. Good morning to the undefeated. Pleasure to see you guys. Roll Tide to you all. Yeah, I said the same thing the other night with him and the young man from Colorado, Cormani. I gave my picks on who I would want to go after as far as a corner. The young man from Arizona, I think it is.
Takario Davis. And I like the kid from Western Kentucky.
Yeah, that kid as well. And the kid Toriano Pride from Clemson. Yeah. These kids are dogs, man. But I'm right there with you, Ty. I mean, these kids come in, they'll provide depth, and they may even start. Who knows? But to your credit, I have no guarantee that they'll beat the kids that's already on this roster. That is a whole fact. When I went back and watched the young man, he's very similar. He's still a little green himself. Kid got playing time, of course, but no significant playing time to the point to where you can say, okay, he'll definitely start here, right? So, yeah, I got to agree with you 100%. I had those same questions.
Yeah, and, I'm interested in Cormani because I didn't hear your thoughts on that. But, Coach, my thoughts on Cormani was like, hey, I understand you have a high upside, and sometimes it's just not the right place, right? Yeah. Sometimes, okay, here's the thing. You could have an unbelievable man, an unbelievable woman. But if it's not a good fit, that marriage is not going to be an unbelievable marriage, even though you have two upstanding people. Fit matters. That's why It's like, get it right the first time. That's why I'm someone who's like, take your visits, get it right the first time. As much as I like Cormani's upside, Coach, I'm good because we have upside. We have guys that I think their upside matches Cormani. We need experience, right? We need experience and upside, and he doesn't have experience. And at that point, it's like, okay, well, I'd kind of rather just roll with the unknowns that we have if we're rolling with unknowns. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, that's a whole fact. That's a whole fact, man. Shout out to you guys in the chat, man. I see you guys. Much love to you all. Love you guys to death, man, for life. Yeah, that's the whole purpose, man. That's why I said that, I had a list of guys actually that I brought up that I would like us to see to go after. It's one thing to go get a corner out of the portal for depth. And I'm not sure how many corners want to come here and sit the bench. Maybe some do. Maybe, like you said, maybe some just want to change the scenery. Maybe some want to be a part of what's going on with Coach DeBoer. But it's not many that want to come here and fight, right? And sit the bench. So that's why I said a kid like Takario Davis. I really believe that kid would come here and lock down one of those positions. That kid is extremely talented. He will be drafted. It's going to be how many, God knows how many people trying to get that kid to come to their universities. But yeah, I agree, man. When you talk about Cormani, when you talk about the young man here from Florida State, I have no guarantee that these kids will be better than what we already have. Yes, they'll provide numbers, and we need numbers, Otherwise, we'll have a bunch of young kids starting at corner. I know Damani has his playing time under his belt. And the fact that he went through what he went through at USC will help him here at Alabama, seeing those ups and downs at USC, going through what he went through with the injury, going through what he went through with that terrible defense. That'll motivate him. That'll keep him hungry for here in Tuscaloosa. But at the same time, how many corners do you see, Ty? How many corners do you know for a fact would really come here and bolster our roster?
I know of a select few. Right? Select few. One of them, I am praying to the Most High that he enters the portal from Wisconsin. Coach, have you ever checked out Ricardo Hallman? from
Yes, I
Wisconsin.
have. Yes,
Oh
I
my! If
have.
he enters the portal, y'all are gonna see Blaze come undone. Blaze will make an
Yes.
appearance, right? Because I really want that kid. But
Yeah.
I think you make a great point, Coach. This is the balancing act that is so fascinating around the transfer portal. Ronnie Jones had a question for you, Coach. Coach Shawn,
Okay.
do you think Deion's throwing shade at McLean? Bunch of players leaving Colorado, I hear. What's your thoughts there, Coach?
When I watched Deion's, when they asked him about it, I didn't see him throwing the shade, to be honest. He just said that he prayed. I think I'm paraphrasing. He said he prays that wherever Kamani goes, they're able to kind of like get the best out of him and hold him accountable, because we weren't able to do that here in Colorado. You know, that's about as straightforward as you can be. That's pretty much saying whatever this kid was going through, we couldn't control it. We couldn't tap into it. We couldn't, you know. And it's like Ty said, there, you know, is it the failure of the school, the coaching staff? Is it the failure of the young man to comply? We'll never know, right? So his next stop will probably have to be his best stop, right? You know the old saying, make your next move the best move. So I guess it'll be told where he goes next. If he has issues and things happen around him to cause him to hurt himself, then we'll know Coach Prime had the right idea. If the kid goes and plays and balls out, then maybe it was something with the coach staff. Who knows, right? But I didn't hear him shading the players. If you know Deion the way I know Deion's past, if he's letting these kids go, you better believe he has other kids that want to come there, right? For him to give them their walking papers so easily, he's flipping that roster. He's just using the transfer portal for what it's for. Now, I don't think that's sustainable for the future. I don't think that's the way you can do it every single year. But a year or two to flip a roster, yeah, you definitely can do that. Appreciate you, Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie, I have much the same answer to that. And Coach, I completely agree with you said about the portal. I think the portal is a great Band-Aid. I just don't believe you're going to be able to build a national championship roster out of it because you don't have enough time to gel.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a bunch of guys, some of them there for 1 year, and it's like that's very difficult to do. But the transfer portal can be utilized as a Band-Aid, no doubt about that. Now, I haven't seen Prime throwing any shade at players, but Coach,
right?
Did you see Kermani? And this is a non-issue, ladies and gentlemen. It's just interesting. Once again, I'm very easily interested. I'm a nerd. Did you see his post about thanking Colorado for his time there? But did you notice what was missing? It's the first thing when I read it, I was like, that's intriguing. Did you see what was missing from that post?
Yeah, I read the post. What exactly was missing?
Well, he thanked the defensive back coach. He thanked several people. There was one person he did not mention, did not thank at all. And then he posted something. He said, if you fool me once, shame on you, but I'd be a fool to let you fool me twice.
Yeah, I did see something like that. Yeah. And I seen something where he said he's tired of the circus or something of that nature, or something pertaining to circus like that.
No mention
but see, here's the thing. When you're one of these high school kids that go play at Colorado, you have to understand this, man. And Coach talked about this himself. Your coach is going to be more popular than you in this situation. Now, there are a lot of situations where these high-profile kids are just way more important than the coach, right? Look at Iowa. Caden Proctor is way more important than that head coach. A lot of people don't even know that man's name, right? But they know Caden Proctor's name. Coach Prime is not going to be one of those situations. This guy is rich already. This guy is lauded in the nows of best corners to ever play this game. He's a walking trademark right now, and he's always been that way. If you know football the way I do, with the Coach Prime you guys see is the same guy. This guy, when he came out of Florida State and told the media, I don't think Atlanta can afford me, right? So he's always been that guy. He's always been that guy. That's just how he works, how he gets down. And that might be for some people, and that might not be for everybody, right? So you have to know that going into that situation, right? He's going to have the cameras around him. He's going to promote that place. He's brought more light to Colorado than, good Lord, than I probably seen in my history since Cordell Stewart and them was there. He just has a way he does go about his business, man, right? And that may turn some kids on and it may turn some kids off, right? So it doesn't shock me at all that because sometimes these kids have egos and they clash with that, right? So it works sometimes, it doesn't work all the time. So that's a whole fact, Ty.
And to your point, Coach, I mean, Bama to some degree just experienced that. You go to someone anywhere in the world that has any level of knowledge about like sports or football, and you said, hey, who's the coach of Alabama? Nick Saban.
Facts.
They might not be able to name your starting 11 on offense or defense, but everybody knows Nick Saban. Yeah. Everybody knows Nick Saban. So it was very an analogous situation, but for different reasons, right? Prime being the superstar player, Nick Saban being the GOAT coach. So that's an interesting way to look at this. Now, AJ Williams has a question for both of us. He says, hey, Todd, does Bama land Greedy Vance or Kermani McClain, and does either fit the scheme? I'm going to do a very brief answer on this, Coach, because we've talked about this, and then I'll pass it your way.
Yeah.
I don't believe Bama lands either. I think if you're asking, Greedy Vance is much more applicable. But they do both, I think, fit the scheme. Now, the reason why I don't think we land Kermani McClain, AJ Williams, is because Kermani McClain doesn't have the experience. Yes, he has upside. Bama has a bunch of defensive backs with unlimited upside, but no experience. And if we're rolling with the unknown, then I'm going to roll with the cats that have bought in from the get-go, right? Like they've wanted to be here. I'm rolling with them. Greedy Vance is talented, but I genuinely wonder whether he'd be able to hold off a Jalen Mbakwe all year from that nickel corner position. Coach, thoughts?
Oh, the exact same. I talked about this the other night. I said, if your purpose is depth, okay. But if your purpose is to bring in someone to challenge Xavier Brown, to challenge Xavier Mincy, to beat them out pretty much, to put those freshmen on the line and really show me you're better than them. I don't really see where Kermani fits that, because he's just as green as they are, right? He may have 3 or 4 games under his belt, but he still got a freshman red shirt. So he's just as green as they are, right? There's no way I would take a young man. I mean, true, he has all this eligibility, but who knows if he'd be here the whole time, because he may get beat out by one of those young corners. Next thing you know, he's back in the portal. I personally think Kermani is going to go back home to Miami. He seems like he fit that there better than most. I think he's probably going to go back to Miami. Greedy Vance, I don't know much about Greedy outside of the nickel corner facts. I don't know much about that young man. If I'm Bama, if I'm the University of Alabama and Coach Kalen DeBoer, I'm going after the big fish. I'm going after Takara Davis. I'm going after Torian Pride. I'm going after the kid from West Kentucky. I'm unloading the whole clip on the bigger fish. They're gonna have to tell me no, just like Jaleel Muhammad did, right? So if I'm Bama, I'm going after those kids that I know that can play press, kids that can play man, kids that can play off coverage, kids who've been through big battles, So yeah, now if you fall back on a plan B, I would go to these kids, right? But I would definitely shoot my shot with the top cornerbacks in the transfer portal to tell them you can come here and you can play on the opposite Damani Jackson right now.
Jermaine Mims says, I think they've done all they're going to do in this portal with Proctor. There's no urgency in this staff, this portal window. Only one offer tells me they're content on sitting with their hands. This is where I'm going to disagree with you, Jermaine. I think there's a difference between sitting on your hands and understanding what we need, and it might not be there yet.
That's a fact.
If you don't need something, why are you going to potentially anger some people, right, that you already have? Like, I think that there's a clear delineation between going after needs and then just going after things ad nauseum, just like pointing and shooting, right? It's the difference between like being purposeful and then just shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
And I don't think I want a coaching staff that's just shooting in the dark. I want you to aim and fire, not just let it go. Coach, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. Remember this, guys. These guys can talk to these kids and coaches now. It's not illegal. It's not tampering anymore per se. You better believe Bama staff is one step ahead of us. Courtney Morgan. These kids, these young men are already in contact some type of way with the kid they want. You just hadn't heard anything because it's still early. This thing is 15 days long. A lot of these kids are wearing their options. A lot of these kids are seeing which bag is the biggest. A lot of these kids are measuring. They got to wait for the offer to come first, right? And once that offer comes, they have to weigh their options. Okay, is Michigan's bag bigger than Bama's? What's the pros and cons of going to Alabama? What's the pros and cons of going to USC, right? These kids are going through that right now with their families. So just because it's quiet on the forefront does not mean it's quiet behind the boards. Trust me right now. You better believe they'll get a corner out of the transfer portal. I do not think that we will go into the season with these young kids, because if you lose one, if you lose Damani on some freak accident stuff, there's a potential that you have 2 freshmen starting at corner. Nobody wants that. Trust me. I don't give a damn how talented they are. Nobody wants 2 freshmen starting at corner. Take my word for this. Going into Georgia, going into Wisconsin on the road. Luke Fickell's a great coach. Don't ever deny that. Don't be fooled by this weak Big Ten. Going on the road to Wisconsin will be a challenge. I'm telling you this like I'm sitting here. They'll be ready to play. They'll be ready to play. Luke Fickell is a very good coach. Madison, Wisconsin will be lit. They're already talking about it now. They have billboards, what I've seen, in Madison, Wisconsin, ready for this Bama game. They will be ready to play. And nowhere in the world I want to take 2 freshmen on the road at corner, right? So we have to bring in some type of experienced corner to play at Bama. Right now, Trey Amos is probably kicking himself.
Yeah. I mean, not only Trey Amos, but I think there's a few guys that entered into the portal that it's just like, okay, we probably were a little bit hasty. Yeah. No, yeah, and that's rare. That's
and
rare.
Those guys are not growing on trees, right? Kids like Travis Hunter, Ty, they don't come along a lot. It's a big difference in Travis Hunter as a freshman and everybody else is a freshman. That kid was different from the jump. It was a reason why he was number 1 overall. He's just a little different. That kid's a little different, man.
100%. And one thing that I think the Undefeated is being very well placed in is that there are still a lot of spring games out there that have yet to occur. I mean,
Facts.
A lot of them that have yet to occur. And
that's a good point. That's a really good point.
That's going to make a difference. So next week, I would expect for there to be a bit more movement.
Yeah, it's a whole fact.
And this is what I will say, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Pate is as tapped in as anybody to college football in terms of, I mean, he's on his Pate State tour right now. He's in all of these different buildings. I don't think that he would then go on his platform and go out there and say, hey, this portal window is about to be insane, if he didn't have confirmation from a lot of staff saying, hey, this is about to fly off the handles, right? Now, maybe we'll be wrong, but I'm just going off of what he says. And listen, he's as tapped in as anybody, right? Not to say that you can't be wrong ever. Everybody's wrong. We're all human. But that's a big statement. You know what I mean? And somebody that's going to all these different places, very interested in seeing that. Coach Shawn, what are you looking forward to right now?
Man, you know what? I got a big spiel for Ty Simpson. I was going to get into this, and I really think we need to give this kid his love. If you see him on social media, show that kid some love, man, because I'm going to tell you guys something, man. The word loyalty gets thrown around a lot in college football. That word has been gone in college basketball, right? The word loyalty gets thrown around a lot. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Ty Simpson could have went to at least 9 other schools right now that I know of. He could have went to 9 other schools. And I'm going to tell you something. For this kid's father to come out and say, Ty's committed. He's not going nowhere. Please show that young man some love, because Ty Simpson probably would have been the top player in this transfer portal, right? And there's a lot of teams out there that need a young quarterback who can play. So for that kid to stay at Bama, realize that this will probably be Jalen's last year. This will be Jalen's last year. Jalen is going to go on to the NFL. Ty Simpson will have a huge career next year, and this team will be in better shape to me next year, right? We have a lot of young talent on this team that will be forefront starters next year. Keon Keeley's, the Quay Russal's, right? These young corners who will have a full year of SEC football under their belt. So Ty sees the future as huge. Ryan Williams coming in this year. Next year, Bama would be probably in better shape than there is this year. So
Oh yeah.
Ty Simpson sees the future is bright. That kid is going to be the forefront of every Heisman Trophy type award. He'll be preseason, you better believe, without even stepping on the field, because the future is his. The future is his, man. So shout out to Ty Simpson. I want to give him the utmost respect, his family, the utmost respect, because that kid did not have to stay at Bama. He didn't take the money and leave like some of these kids did. And, you know, I want to give him a big shout out for that, Ty. You know, you don't see that kind of loyalty, especially in this day and age, you know, from that position. And I definitely want to show him respect and love and tell him, as a Bama fan, I appreciate him for staying. We need him. And, you know, I just want to show major love. Hold it down for me 1 minute. Time. I'll plug this computer up right quick.